And salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I want to welcome you all to the Heartland Selectmen's meeting for Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024 at the Irving Tanning Community Center. I hope you all had a great Christmas and hope you all have a Happy New Year. So we're going to move right along. Mark is running a little late, so we're going to get right at it. He usually reads the first of the month, so I guess I'll jump in his stead if you don't mind, Joe.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Atta boy.
Yeah.
So the Selectmen's meeting minutes, December 5th, 2023 at 5:30. Present were Jerry Martin, John Heichel, and Mark Brooks. Staff was Christopher Littlefield. Mark read the minutes of November 9th, 2023. Motion to approve minutes as read, voted 2-0 to accept. John was late due to an appointment. Unfinished business. No legislative update from Dean Cray this week. Chris updated the others on the status of the transfer station. Project expected to be another 4 to 6 weeks to completion. Railings needed and power hookup is also needed. Under new business, January meetings will be Tuesday the 2nd and Tuesday the 16th in 2024. February the 2nd meeting will be Tuesday the 20th in 2024. March 18th, 2024 meeting will be canceled, but selectmen to come in and sign the warrants. Under other, Wednesday, January 10th and 17th, 2024, all departments will be closed for training. Mark Brooks suggested that we all come with ideas on a committee for the downtown plan for the next meeting. Under public forum, Jim Toll, Neil Greenberg, and Margaret Greenberg spent an hour degrading the town manager, lecturing the selectmen, and discussing the same complaints as previous meetings. We signed warrants, motion to adjourn at 7:01 p.m., voted 3-0 to accept. Respectively submitted, Christopher Littlefield, town manager. Any discussion?
Yes. I don't know how can we make a motion to accept these minutes when they say draft on them?
You do every week.
When they say draft on them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I don't think I've ever seen that, but okay.
Well, it's a draft till we
Well,
approve
it's
it,
always-
correct?
Right, it's always a draft if they approve it.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as well.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. 2-0 to accept. All right, let's move into Tuesday, January 2nd meeting. Minutes are read. Unfinished business, review procedure policy of select board.
You want me to read that?
You wanna read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Sure, if you'd like.
So this policy was put into place on 17th of May, 2021. The following guidelines shall be followed by citizens when attending a selectmen's meeting. The select board is elected by the citizens to perform the people's business, to permit fair and orderly expression of comments and procedures. The procedures described shall be followed to ensure that the board has time to conduct its business in a timely manner. Citizens may attend all select board meetings with the exception of executive meetings. Citizens may tape or record meetings. However, under Maine law, citizens do not have a right to speak unless given permission to do so. Because we want to hear your concerns, there will be a place at the beginning of the meeting for public comments about listed agenda items. All other proceedings are for the board only, and the public does not have a right to comment during the time unless a citizen is recognized by the chair, the board chair. At no time will the public be allowed to argue, debate, or introduce a topic that is not on the select board agenda. Should a person or an organization wish to have an item placed on the agenda, a written request detailing the specifics of the subject shall be submitted to the board for consideration. During public comments, if you wish to speak, all questions must be addressed to the chairperson. When the chair has recognized you, stand, state your name for the record, and the agenda item and the nature of your business. Questions may not be asked of individual board members. The chair may allow a question to be answered only if the question is easily given. Should the matter need further research or discussion, the questions will be noted and taken up at a future meeting. If you are introducing written materials, charts, or other documentation, at least 4 copies shall be given to the chairperson for distribution. The board will not entertain comments about specific individuals. Such matters shall be referred to the appropriate administrator. Comments should be courteous. Personal remarks or accusatory comments are always out of order. Any person who disrupts a board meeting may be required to leave in order to permit the orderly consideration for which the meeting was called for. During the discussion of the board, the audience shall not disturb the proceedings by whispering, talking, or other distractions. In the event that further procedures for order need to be employed for any reason, the board will utilize the basic elements of Robert's Rules of Order to facilitate board discussion as follows. This particular item goes down through motions and things of that nature, just as examples. And again, this was signed by John Heichel, Matt Brooks, and Jerry Martin.
Any discussion, John?
The purpose of reviewing this is to make any changes, or we're reviewing it just for reviewing it?
Just for review.
That's right. I wanted this brought up the last time things got spun out of control a little bit. And we gotta remember that repeating the same questions over and over and over doesn't make it.
It doesn't, but
It gets a little out of control.
it doesn't. I must have missed this part right here, but my idea is of a public comments, the time for public comment is for people for the people to be able to speak about an issue or a comment or a concern or a compliment of what they want to say. It doesn't necessarily have to facilitate a debate, which I would say it shouldn't facilitate a debate, but I'm not sure we should restrict, and I'd like to relook this, but at a sooner than later date. But I'm just bringing up the point that I don't think it's a good policy to not allow a member of the public saying something that they have an issue with. It doesn't mean we have to discuss it that night. It just means that we are offering the time for someone to voice their opinion. And I don't know if it needs to be on the select board agenda. So at some time I mean, I think this is something that we voted on. I'm sure we can vote to amend it or to relook.
We can amend it, but it's chicken or the egg, right? So somebody brings up something this time, it should be allowed for the next time.
For now.
To
Until
a
it's
certain point. Right. It doesn't say that nothing is ever allowed, but it's also saying there, we kind of fell out of the rules of procedure here. Sometimes things are just brought up and brought up and brought up. That's fine, except once we move, if it's not part of the agenda, it needs to be either brought up for the next time to give us time to field that question, so we don't get blindsided with something, or it's, you understand what?
Yeah, there's a way to do it.
That's right. And
But-
this
but we
sounds
can-
like the first thing is, okay, from here on. And I don't think that's what
It's-
this was trying to think of a way to.
That's why words have meaning, words
They
have
do,
meaning.
but again, when we discussed it,
At no time will the public be allowed to argue, debate, which is fine, or introduce a topic that is not on the select board agenda. I don't know if that particular, introduce a topic that's not on the select board agenda is proper. It's right, I don't know if that's right, but I do agree that at no time there should not be any argument or debate. That's fine. If you want to speak and say what you wanna say it. We don't need to debate it. We just need to listen to it, and if we think it rises to the level of putting it on a future agenda, then
that's exactly
what we should do.
that's what I'm saying, and that's what we've been trying to do, is that's why some of these items are continuously moved on every time
I
they show up
understand.
on the agenda,
I get it,
okay? So it's not that we're trying to not, reply to things,
right?
but we need to have some order to this. So if something is brought up under the other tonight, we can move it and get our answer, and the next time it's brought up, it is on the agenda. We can have a civil debate, but not go off on a tangent, as things have kind of spun out of control before. Speaking in generalities here, but do you understand where I'm going with this?
I do, but I would like to, at some time in the near future, relook at this, because we've been using it for 2 years now, more, and look at lines like that, because at no time, I don't want to restrict anybody from introducing a topic that's not on the select board agenda during public comment. That's all. That's all I'm thinking. I don't wanna get into arguments, I don't wanna get into debates. This is a business meeting for us to take care of the
Correct.
business of the town. But if somebody has something that they wanna say, they should be, but they should not be derogatory, they should not be argumentative, they should be what they want to say, and then we move on.
Correct.
That's how I would handle it if I was, chair.
Okay, and you've been chair,
I've been chair,
and you know how things spin out of control?
yes.
Okay,
And just, we never had this policy, John, until you requested.
That's right.
You requested it.
I did request it.
This is all a document done because of your request.
Rules of procedure, that's right,
Yep.
that's exactly right.
And-
And I must have missed that part right there when I was proofreading it, because I wouldn't have agreed with us moving forward and not letting the public say something at no time during the meeting, if it's not on the agenda. That's why I'd like to relook at this, and see
okay,
if we
but
can clean up a couple of
we
things.
moved this particular thing
Yeah,
down, so we get through the agenda. When we get to other, right,
yes,
we can put in our others,
yes.
correct? We move down one more, and this is where it spins out of control. People can make comments on what's here, and we have some latitude. The chair always has latitude, correct?
But when it gets down into public agenda,
Public
public
forum.
forum, then they can say what they want to say about anything that may not necessarily be on that agenda.
That's not what the rules say.
That's not what the rule says.
Correct.
And I'd like to relook at that part of the rule and possibly other things in it that we wrote, and we wrote it and we did it because we needed to do something at that time.
Right.
But I think we may relook at it and see if there's something that we can fix, that we
Okay, so we can put on the agenda
put on the agenda to
for
relook.
next time.
Exactly.
If you've got some adds to put in there, some amendments,
Yes,
we can look at it,
yes,
especially when we're down one tonight,
yes,
have a little discussion on it.
yes.
Make sense?
I think that would be a great idea,
Okay,
because this policy is gonna outlast us.
that is true, but we've got away from it, particularly this one,
Yes,
and we spin out of control.
I understand.
Right. And we need to narrow the field of what we do here, so that the people's business, not just who's here on the floor.
Right. Okay. So,
Oh, okay.
we don't have to make a motion for anything.
We don't have to do anything, we just have Chris write it down,
Yep.
We'll review it next
Bring it
time.
back on, review it on next agenda.
Okay. That's great. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm waiting for you when you, I have a report from Dean Gray when you're ready.
Right, okay. I'm just trying to, again, we'll use this opportunity to look out here and say, your comments,
Simple question.
it's a simple question.
So does that mean, for like example, I can't bring up the street light? Does that mean I can't bring that up during public forum?
We would have that on the agenda. Like this question,
Not
technically.
till I brought it up the first time, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, we can't read people's minds.
Well, I understand
But you
that, but
brought
I'm
it-
asking you, so that's something I couldn't bring up during public forum.
If it was, no, public forum is different, okay? It's already on the agenda, we put it on the agenda. You can ask what happened to it, because it's already been on the agenda. But to random,
I'm sorry, we're just not clicking on the same page, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Maybe I didn't explain it right. It's already been fixed, it's not an issue with the street light, but I'm saying
You're just
that,
using that as for instance.
That simple question, like, so say tonight, there was another street light, okay, just for example, I'm trying to use a simple example. That's something that I could not bring up during public forum, is that what you're saying?
during the first part of this, yes. But there is a section under here on the public forum.
That's what I'm asking, during
Right,
public forum.
but we're not there yet.
No,
So okay, but,
go ahead, I'm trying to, I'm just trying to get us to click here, we're not,
right, we're not.
I don't know if I'm making it hard or if you're making it hard, I don't know.
I'm not making it hard, it's, we need things in order where they.
No, I understand that, I
So
understand
technically, I
that.
just stepped on my own toes by asking.
No, and I understand that, but it was a question about your rule, I'm trying to understand the rule. I'm trying to understand the rule, am I allowed to bring that to the public forum when the public forum comes, is what I'm trying to ask. You're, like, you two were just discussing, okay?
Okay.
Politely, discussing.
Mhm.
You're saying nothing that's not on the agenda can be brought to the public forum. John's saying that it should be. So my question to you was, a simple question as far as like a street light out, can I bring that to public forum if it's not on that paper? Say there was another light out tonight,
Okay,
and when I get the public, when you guys get, you gentlemen get the public forum, can I say, hey, I got a street light out, blah, blah, blah?
Let me answer this question.
sure.
Yeah, so technically, based on the way the rules are written and the policy is written, you would do that in writing and you hand it in writing. You'd write it down on a piece of paper and hand it to us, and we'll bring it back with a resolve the next week. That's, if you read it to this, the way that it was written, that would be how you'd handle it. So you'd be able to write that down, submit it, and say, can this please be put on the agenda?
So the answer would be no.
That would be my interpretation of these rules.
That's why I'm asking to,
John's
Look at-
asking to
look at
amend
them
it
again.
somewhat.
I'm good.
Okay,
Simple question, simple answer.
right, and we're gonna talk amongst ourselves here.
yeah,
For the next time, we're gonna come back with some adjustments. Okay, moving right along. So Representative Cray, update and report.
Yes, so, Representative Craig did reach out to me. He and Senator Black both put in emergency bills regarding the use, and they got kicked out. So that puts them back to putting in a new bill this year during regular session. So that was the update that he gave me. It's been a couple, 3 weeks ago now, so.
kicked out by the legislature.
Kicked out of
committee,
committee.
so-
Yeah, legislative,
The
when they,
committee,
he said the majority party voted it out.
of course he did. Legislative committee.
What's that, Mark? Okay. Under new business, set municipal election and town meeting dates and times.
Yeah, so we have a list here, and we do want a motion and a vote on this, so you wanna just review this a minute. Kind of a schedule of events here for springtime, so.
Any discussion on that? John, you seeing this part? This is where we're.
Oh, yeah. Need a vote for the election
Need a vote to accept the schedule.
to accept the schedule.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
In its entirety.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we accept the 2024 municipal election and town meeting, state of Maine election timeline as presented.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. 3-0 to accept. All right, select front cover.
And
Dedication.
dedication in memory. So
Yep.
those are the three categories. Don't know what your thoughts are on that for this year, but we generally do a photo of something, around town. We usually do a dedication, and we also try to do an in memory.
Dedication would be, refresh my memory on, person, place, or thing, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. And in memory of. So dedication and in memory of, or dedication.
They
So
generally we
there's
do them
Dedicate-
separately.
Right, the dedication this way, in memory of.
And in
the other
memory
way.
of is somebody.
Yeah.
Generally in memory is obviously of somebody who's passed.
Right,
I think, this past year,
Yes.
well, I think, Ellen Littlefield would be a wonderful,
We did that last year.
we did that last year.
Yep.
Didn't he pass?
We passed in December of last year, and we dedicated,
Ah, that's
we
right.
either did, we did
Okay.
he and Steltap in memory.
Okay,
Mhm.
I thought it was first of the year, I'm sorry.
Well, it's always hard to think of the totality right now.
right.
Yeah,
So, any chance,
We don't need to discuss it, decide this tonight, I mean,
Yeah.
we don't need to discuss, we don't need to decide. I can go back and get, off the top of my head, nothing's popping right in my head, I haven't really
Yeah.
given it much thought, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
they'd give us a little bit of chance to
Yeah.
think on that and talk to some people.
I think in memory of Foster Brooks would be
Yep.
acceptable.
I agree.
memory of Foster Brooks would be a great one. Very nice. Dedication.
So it'd be hard to beat the same guy for both select the cover, picture of Foster and dedicate it to him.
I'm okay with that. How do you feel about that, Mark?
I'll refrain from that, cause it would look biased, any comment I might make.
I think it would be a wonderful, I think it would be wonderful to do that for Foster.
So, here is a time where, when in public forum, an agenda item would be select cover and dedication. You heard what we said, this would be an opportunity for somebody out there who had input into that. That would be a great time for you to
Select.
put that up. You see where we're going with that?
I understood that part.
Okay.
I'm not stupid. You didn't answer my question, my simple question that I asked. I understand that I can talk about anything on this page.
Okay.
So, well, let's, then, if we don't have to make a decision, I think Foster would be a wonderful
Mhm.
dedication and/or in memory of, both, it's fine with me, he certainly would deserve that.
Mhm.
Front cover. Other than,
He said, Jerry said Foster on the front cover and in memory of the Foster as well, right? Did I
Yes.
get that right?
I thought dedication, okay.
Yeah,
Well, it'd be hard not to do all three, to be quite honest with you.
so,
I'm gonna have to decide that right this second.
Yeah. no,
That's where I'm leaning.
All three, okay. I can't think of.
Nope.
another person, that the dedication, and also in memory, Brenda Seekins passed. Brenda did a lot on the Historical Society, and Steve did, a lot of volunteering on the planning board for several years. Maybe a dedication to the two of them. Does that sound
Yeah.
reasonable? Steve and Brenda Seekins?
Yes. Dedication. And a front cover to Foster and in memory of.
Mhm.
That would be-
Good first pass, wouldn't you say?
The lady with the cane that passed, is that, wait. She was a long-time resident. The lady that.
Viola Sides.
Viola Sides.
Yep. Yeah, Viola and Harlan, we recognize them, as Boston Cane
Boston
recipients.
Yeah.
That's another thing we'll probably have to talk about, because she passed, Harlan's still alive, so, I'm gonna make a note here. So what we could do is, it's hard to pick.
Can we dedicate to more than one?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say, we might be able to do in memory of a couple of different people as well. Foster, last year we did a male and a female, we could do the same, we could do Foster and Viola.
Mhm.
What do you guys think about that?
And a front cover with Foster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if that's what you wanna do.
I'm,
That works for me.
yeah, I'm open, I mean, all these people deserve, all these people certainly have. Certainly deserve all our gratitude.
And another, thing that we need to think about also is a nomination for, Spirit of America Award. It's not on here today, but we need to think about that too, coming up. We don't need to discuss it tonight, but.
Okay, just a quick question on that. Has Barbara Day and Shirley been nominated for that Spirit of America?
I believe that they have, I've double checked, but I'm pretty sure that they have. Yep.
That'd be, yeah. Yeah, that's a good,
So anything else on the dedication and front cover?
good.
Good first pass?
Yeah, good.
All right, let's move on to the update on the landfill.
Okay, as you know, couple of things are going on. First off, we did our survey here just recently, and it shows that we're running in that 57% compaction rate, which is really good compaction. However, the downside of what's going on is we are having an off-gassing of H2S, which tends to create foul odors. It's covering on an evening when there's an inversion, which when there's really cold weather, it keeps everything down to the ground for the evening hours. We tend to have an issue. It can be as far to Huff Hill, well, 23 a little ways. Tim has mentioned that he smelled it up at his place, so it's reaching out there a mile or two from time to time. We have had, the last market asked me about putting together some numbers on what we've done to try to offset it, and thus far we spent $17,990 trying some different things, and anticipating we're gonna be probably spending another $3,000 to $6,000 adding some more ash. Ash helps. We've created a piping system. We've put in probably 1,200 feet of piping. We've created some charcoal barrels on the end of candy canes, and all of these things have improved the situation, but they have not stopped it. So we are still battling that part of it, and our intent is to continue adding more ash. We get trucks hauling again tomorrow, so hopefully our goal is to try to get a cover all the way across the unused area that we have and down the side slopes. And that's gonna take another day or two to accomplish that. So we are trying to do that, and hopeful that that's gonna be a big impact. If not, the next line of defense, according to talking to the DEP and TRC, is to potentially look at doing some flares. The concern is that there's not quite enough methane to keep something lit. We're not really sure about that yet. We gotta do a little more research. We anticipate there's some there, but we haven't ascertained if it's gonna work yet. So that requires a little more research, but we're hopeful that we're gonna see a big impact with some more ash the next couple of days. We've been continuously adding ash, and it will make it better for a couple of days, and then it will come out fiercely again. And there's a variety of issues going on. We have had a ton of rain. That does not help. The whole pile is wet. In fact, last Friday, we were trying to haul ash, and we had to stop with the trucks just because of having a hard time getting on the landfill. We're froze up again today and should be in the morning, so we can start going back out across it and trying to help the situation.
Couple quick questions, Chris.
Yeah.
When I'm not sure what the right word is, when we married the two, the old existing landfill and the current one, does our consultant say, can that affect the new? Meaning, is there any way that some of the gases are coming from the previous landfill?
Well, I'll be honest with you, we kind of eliminated that last week. We have we have some standpipes.
Yeah.
And we took our meters and we went and measured them. We got nothing on 3 of them.
Okay.
And just a slight hit on 1 of them.
Okay.
Which could be negatively impacting, but it's not anything like the ones on the current landfill.
Gotcha.
So we do not feel it's the old one at this point. We have tried to eliminate that. Last week we Bill and I went around to them and spent quite a bit
Good.
of time with that, so.
So that almost $18,000 worth of equipment, not equipment, tools or whatever to mitigate, that's all been primarily, or that's all been done on the new landfill.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's all been done on the new
The
landfill.
new- And,
Yeah.
and when you, the candy cane, was our consultant surprised when you shared with them that we're having a problem?
Not,
What I'm
Not
getting at, not a
surprised.
trick question, I was
yeah,
wondering, did,
not surprised, but they didn't think it was gonna be at the level that it's at.
right, okay,
They
so,
did not think it was gonna be at this particular propensity.
yeah,
However, the idea of the charcoal barrel, which
Yeah.
is basically a barrel that we put 6 or 8 bags of charcoal in.
right,
We ran the candy cane to the bottom.
Yeah.
We drilled holes in the top of the barrels, so the gas has to pass through all of it. And, we saw a huge difference with that.
Yeah.
So, it took about 30 bags of charcoal on that part of it. It does help, and it does help. The idea of putting the pipe in was to concentrate the gas so you can try to treat it. The problem that we have is we still have an area that we haven't been able to get over and put material on to kind of seal it off. And, that's what we're in hopes to do tomorrow and the next day.
Chris, when we apply that, are we drilling down, or are we putting it where the existing level is at? That
You
makes
know, we
sense.
dig down, we dug down, probably about 4 feet. It's down into the pile about 4 feet, and we have a running, it's about 800 feet of, going in one direction, and then we have either 3 or 4 laterals going off it back into the middle of the pile. So we're capturing a pretty good area right now. We just gotta try to seal it off to force the gas to the pipe, and we're making gains, it's just not going as well as hoped.
Yeah.
So,
I think, if I get this right, I think weren't some of the staff, or you and the staff up there on Sunday?
we were up there Sunday, the day before Christmas,
This one,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, we went up and tried to change some charcoal. What we didn't try, we changed the charcoal out on all of the pipes, and that had very little impact. It did not help a lot, so we did do it, but it didn't, we still had an issue overnight, so.
Well, doing that on Christmas Eve, on Sundays, appreciated, all the staff who helped out.
Piping that we're laying in, flat or nearly flat, or is it pitched to promote gravity?
It's nearly flat,
Okay.
nearly flat.
Any thought given to the fact that warm gas would rise if that pipes were pitched at all? Just curiosity.
Well, I guess we didn't talk about it in a great deal, no. I don't think we had that conversation. The conversation we had about pitching it slightly was to drain water. But it's not, I can tell you it's not pitched much, it really isn't, so.
I have a couple questions, Chris, for you. On that pipe that Jerry's talking about, is it perforated?
Yes.
Yes, it is, okay.
Yeah.
And, TRC is the engineering firm. Did they design the land, did they design the landfill?
Yes.
They did, okay.
Yes, yep.
And they didn't think that, they didn't consider that in the beginning, I guess.
They did not think that we would end up having a gas issue at the level we're having, they did not.
Okay.
Now,
What-
even though
What kind of ash are you using?
Wood ash.
Wood.
Comes from, the ash that we're using is coming from up to Athens, up to the
A hardwood kind of ash?
hardwood, softwood, yeah.
Hardwood, softwood, or pellets? from other
Yeah, it's
pellets?
from the pellet mill up to Athens.
And the last question is, have we considered activated charcoal instead of charcoal briquettes?
Not at this point, no.
cause I know they're both carbon, but
Yep.
one is used in filtering air and water, and the other ones, briquettes generally aren't, but I know they're both charcoal, but my experience is that's where it ends, similarities in activated charcoal. maybe
Yeah, I can
something.
research that, I can ask our consultants about the differences of the activated versus the briquettes.
Okay. And that's my questions.
Chris, I was just wondering, have we not employed any tactic that TRC has suggested to us?
No, we have not, we've done everything they've asked us to do.
Kind of figured
So
that's-
far, the next level, like you said, is trying to ascertain if a flare might help. We're trying to, the flare is a little bit of a challenge, I think, and a little bit of a, I just gotta do more research on it and talk to the consultants about it in a little more detail. The concern is that there wouldn't be enough methane to make it actually work. And, like I said, the charcoal works really great. You literally can, it works right at that location. It's not great when you've got a spot over here that's still has some pressure, upward pressure coming over here, and, it isn't covered with charcoal or not charcoal, but ash. Ash has a high pH, and that's the reason for trying to use it, to try to scrub the H2S just a little bit. That's the purpose of adding ash.
All,
We've got to-
go ahead, John.
I just got a note here that we've got to fix this issue. It certainly rises to the level of being offensive and extremely bad. And if it's in it, that particular, because under all that pressure, as that pile gets bigger, the pressure of the temperature goes up. And that stuff is cooking underground, and it's got a lack of oxygen, as I was saying earlier, that the lack of oxygen, of that material, that organic material decomposing underground with that temperature and a lack of oxygen, in a lack of oxygen state, is what's causing these gases to come out. And there should be a serious concern of how many years. I mean, I know that from what I've known for years, that these gases can come out of the ground for 50 years after you finish, cap it off and all of that stuff. So it continues to off-gas for a long, long, long time. And I couldn't imagine this.
Yeah, we're not seeing that on the old landfill that's been there for 40 years.
I know,
And we're not
But we're
seeing it
seeing
on
it.
the other one.
but we're seeing it on a brand new one.
Right.
So
But I
this-
don't think you'd see it for a long longevity. The best example would be the one we just kinda did a temporary close on. That one is not off-gassing hardly at all. That's much more sludge quantity than what we have right at the moment. It's far more sludge.
It's wood, it's sludge, it's organic decomposition under high pressure with a lack of oxygen. And I think we need to, I've worked on this in New Hampshire for a long time with various landfills. So I'm just, I think it's rising to a serious problem, and we know that, I know that. So I don't know what. I don't know what the plan is, but, I mean, stopping sludge, stopping everything isn't, that's not the problem, that's not my end game here. My end game is to mitigate this problem. sure there's an answer, I just don't know.
Well, you can also run that gas through a combustion process, which will, if, obviously, it doesn't have enough combustibles to maintain a flame, but either enough, more combustibles could be added and then combusted, or just run through as
That takes
a
fuel.
secondary. Well, it does take fuel, but, okay,
I
all
know.
this costs money too.
I know, oh no, this,
So if we
I'm
piped
just
it
saying,
all and used it as excess air in a combustion process, then that particular gas would then be sent through the combustion process and be burned.
I know,
So, I mean, obviously you would have to adjust the level going through the, yeah, but you can also superheat it too.
yeah, and that would get rid of it.
My
The
thought,
other-
Mr. Chairman, is we could continue to react to, in a timely fashion, to the recommendations TRC has for tactics to, whatever they may be. I think
Right.
we have done that. I think, 18 grand is nothing to not understand that we're reacting.
We're in contact with DEP and,
Yeah.
TRC, just about daily. And in fact, communicated with DEP on the Sunday that we were out there. I got a text early in the morning that there's an issue, and, went down and took a look, and, that was what we tried to do, was change out the charcoal. It's pretty amazing how well it does work, it's just, is at a big enough scale.
Sure.
So that's what we're trying to ascertain.
And it moves depending upon where the wind is blowing. If it's blowing at you, it takes your breath away. And then a second later, it's gone.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Yep.
All right, let's move along. Discuss steering committee for the downtown plan.
Yeah, so, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a couple ideas. I apologize for being late, but in the folder in my desk at home is some ideas. I thought maybe what we'd do is we could discuss, I think I can remember most of the, sometimes when you have a committee, you try to nominate it or select people, appoint people who are from different parts of the community. And I had a list for consideration, and can email the totality of it to us to make sure we have it all, but, I was thinking, obviously a business person, someone from the school, someone from the planning board, maybe someone from some of the organizations in town, whether it's church or whatever, so we cover the social society construct. If there were, maybe an engineer or something who's not on the planning board to help us with some of that. Someone, we should consider, I think, whether it's our own public works individual or somebody who works in DOT from the area to help us with thoughts on the traffic part of it. But the list, I think, would include different areas like that to make up, and then obviously have some just at-large sort of citizens who have an interest in a committee like that. And I think it wouldn't be long before you'd have when I first made the list, if you included everybody who's kind of affected in the downtown area, we would probably have a group larger than what we have here tonight. And I wonder, because I've been on committees like that, how well you can get things done. At the same time, we want it big enough so that you bring some different opinions and some folks who are charged up and want to see the downtown look a different way for some good recommendations. So that was what I was thinking about. This is categories of people that we could then appoint to that committee, and then kind of charge the committee with, can you look at this right now, and then have them report back and have a good discussion with them on their thoughts. And really, even though they'd be representing a portion of, let's say it's a business person was pointed to the committee. Well, the expectation would be that they would talk to other business people too, to figure out, you know, how we could orient the downtown to more of a business-friendly posture. And then I did think too of, maybe a representative from one of the building, or if that is gonna get, I think that other building is supposed to get housed at some point this year. I was thinking of them because they, lots of times maybe people would utilize the pedestrian traffic part of the downtown plan. We could have some input from them on what they would like to see. Those are some thoughts.
Mhm.
I thought that I had made a list also, but my list was a majority of business owners and stakeholders in the downtown. People who have put up substantial investments in the downtown area, who will probably be there for a long time, or hope to be. My list was Josh and Bob and business people, hometown, Brad, Heather, Dave, Wright. People who not live, but people who are down there 8, 10, 12 hours a day and have a really good handle on. Or maybe they've been thinking about what they'd like to see, so I definitely would like to touch base with all of the businesses, including Family Dollar and the churches, people who have a major stake in the downtown. But businesses, I think they're the ones who will benefit, as well as, so I think they'll not only just benefit, it's not because they'll benefit, but I think their ideas are, they've already stepped forward and risked a lot. HVAC, Jerry, I like business thinkers and how they solve problems. And I think they could do a good job giving us direction on the downtown as well.
Certainly people with skin in the game is a little more motivated.
A little more motivated.
Sure. All right, let's move into other. I see a DEP review letter. Yep.
This was in my email this morning when I got to work. It says, subject department review of Heartland Shoreline zoning ordinance and map. Says, dear Ms. Novak, Commissioner of the Department of Environmental Protection has reviewed the town of Heartland Shoreline zoning ordinance and map. We appreciate the hard work that goes into keeping an ordinance up to date. Please find enclosed Department Order Number 35-2023, order approving the ordinance and map as amended on June 5th, 2023, and received by the department on November 8th, 2023. If you or any municipal officials have questions related to shoreline zoning, you may reach me by email at colin.a.clark@maine.gov.
Can you see that for a second, Jim?
Should have one in your file, maybe?
I didn't get one either.
Okay. No, you're welcome to have it.
We'll post that on the website. I took your what?
Yeah. No, Kim put the ordinance on the
She
website
did?
today. Yep, perfect.
No, you don't get that back once you work it out.
I don't need that.
So-
I need my notes.
You need the notes back?
Yep.
He's all fussy about
When,
it.
discussing something like this, I was wondering if the Department of Environmental Protection was gonna send us a letter confirming such, and this is the letter?
That is the letter, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome to keep it, that's fine, I don't need it, I thought I put one, asked her to put one. in
Would you
each.
mind just having, scanning it, sending it to us, so we have a copy
Yeah,
of
we
it?
can forward it.
That'd be great, appreciate it. I was just wondering if we were gonna get it by the end of the year, meaning in this.
It's dated on the 23rd of
23rd.
December,
Yep.
so.
Guess that was a yes. Any comment on the letter? No?
Good.
Good?
I was just wondering, you know, they had requested the updates and the edits and the revisions and this and that, and I don't know, sometimes I think government, it's hard to predict, you know, were they gonna send us something that said, we don't need anything more, or what you have now is squared away, and they did.
They did, yeah.
Any others for other?
I have
Jim?
another problem.
You have another?
I was asked a few nights ago, for as the CEO, has, code enforcement, been approved for plumbing, electrical, or any of the, does she have any of those approvals yet? And
No,
she's-
we haven't, she doesn't have any intentions of getting them, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, we have our LPI is Phil Stevens.
Still, he's
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We don't do
But
electrical.
we don't do electrical.
No.
That's state.
Okay.
I mean, we could, if we
Well,
wanted
we
to.
don't need to.
We really don't need to,
It's done,
trust me.
it's worked well without it.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
We're supposed to watch over ourselves. I know that's crazy at times, but
Just do it good and
that's it. No other for others? All right, we'll move along to public forum for the agenda items.
Outstanding. Tim Keysburg, I live in North Hatton. Chris made the statement earlier that the smell is getting better. No, it's not. It's getting worse. I first complained November 15th. I also talked to DEP on November 15th through Vera. I also talked to Chris, called the town office, called John Heiko. I didn't call you two because I didn't have your phone numbers, or I would have.
Okay.
When I can smell it a mile and a half away, this is getting ridiculous. Anybody that drove down through there this morning to say that it wasn't bad, which I believe he made the statement this morning, it wasn't that bad, is,
No, I didn't say.
okay, if you
I
didn't, I'll
said
take
we had
that
an
back.
issue. I
This
said
morning,
we had
it was
an issue this
unbearable,
morning.
okay?
Yeah, we had an
This
issue.
is getting ridiculous, and for you three gentlemen to sit there and to tolerate this. DEP said that he was gonna put ash on it on the 16th. I talked to her on the 15th, they're gonna start putting ash on it on the 15th, it would get better. Or on the 16th. It has not gotten any better, it's worse. For our town to be known as a drug town, and now to be known as Stinkville, because that's what everybody's calling it. It's pathetic. This town is just a small town, and for us to live in this town and have to go through this just so we can make a buck. The reason it never stunk before is because it was only our waste. The reason it stinks now is because we're taking everybody else's waste. Our waste was treated with a lot more lime, or at least lime. The waste that we get now doesn't even have lime in it, correct?
Doesn't.
Okay. That's why we're getting the smell now that we never had before. This has never smelled this bad before. And for anybody to say that it has is lying. It has never smelled like this. I've never smelled that. I live next to the dump. Not once have I complained about the dump, have I?
No.
Not once. Why? Because I don't get a smell. It's a transfer station. It comes in and out. Sometimes the noise first thing in the morning is a pain in the ass. But Terry has a job that he has to do. I can deal with it. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. It's not 7 o'clock in the morning. But this right here, this is unbearable, pathetic, and for people to live in this town and to have to smell that is, I just can't believe you three are sitting there and tolerating that and just saying what you just said tonight.
What did I say tonight?
Um,
Because what I remember I said
it's what you
is-
didn't say, it's what you didn't say
Okay.
more than anything. I'm sorry, I should have rephrased that. It's almost like you guys are just, you guys are just putting it all on Chris, which I understand, he's the town manager, that's his job. But we also, you guys are the bosses, you three are the bosses, more needs to be done, and it needs to be done sooner. He says it's been 6 weeks, it's been way over 6 weeks. It was smelling way before I complained November 15th. The only reason I complained on November 15th was the first time I smelt it at my house. I've been driving down through town way before November 15th. It was in October when it started stinking. And here it is January, it's even getting worse. It's worse. He can't smell. He made the statement the other day, he can't even smell. So, he can't smell it, the rest of us can. The rest of us are smelling it and dealing with it, and it's unbearable. Something needs to be done. You guys need to do something.
Okay, for the record, I can smell it at my house too. I do not think it's a pleasant smell. However, I'm gonna let Chris, okay, go through the motions of what the engineer said to do. And if you didn't hear the things of what I am putting forth is, I wouldn't mind butting my nose in and see if we can do a combustion process to get rid of it. However, the engineers say, we do this, this, and this.
Well, obviously the ash isn't working, so why are we still trying ash? Why are we trying, he even said tonight, what's the name of that company you mentioned? The engineer CT?
TRC.
TRC?
TRC.
TRC, that he hasn't done anything that they recommended yet. So
No,
I don't think- okay.
no,
please
Done
understand
everything.
that. He hasn't, he's done everything
Everything
they've
they
suggested.
Okay, then I just heard, I apologize for
So,
that.
so that's, I think, the point, not trying to make your point, but I'll make my point. We want Chris to be responsive to any tactic that TRC says we need to employ up there. We want to mitigate the smell. I can't smell at my house, but I can smell it when I come into town. We want to. The issue is, similar to where you work, if they lay out a plan for you, that's what you're trying to follow. If it doesn't work, we're gonna continue to ask for what other strategies have been employed somewhere else in order for us. I think it's a very logical part. Spending 18 grand is not like we're not doing anything there. We've done everything that they've suggested up to now, and I want us to continue to do.
Which is just ash?
No, he just explained to you, the candy canes, the charcoal.
The piping.
Well, obviously, none of it's working.
Well, I don't know if you can say none of it's working.
Did you drive through town this morning?
No? Okay.
Maybe
but-
you ought to start every morning.
Okay, well, thank you. But the issue is that you can't just say it is worse today than it was another day. Because my point is that there's no way to measure the exactness of the smell. You might, I'm sure that you've come down at times and you haven't smelled it. So does that mean at that point it's definitely working?
Very, very rare since it started in October. Very rare that I've come down through in the morning or at night and had not smelled it.
Well,
None? Certainly, I'm not sure that that's what we're hearing from everybody. We're hearing it's very, it comes, and not everybody.
So I don't count, but everybody else does.
Well, how about, does everybody else not count just because you do?
No,
Okay,
You're right.
so that's my point.
but you
So,
said,
so the issue is that there are people who say, matter of fact, I talked to Chris one morning, and he said, yeah, I just came down through there, it smells terrible. It's not that anybody is saying that it doesn't smell, we know that. The issue is, we don't know right now the tactics that are being employed, how well they're working. You could say that this morning was terrible, you're right, so whatever we worked on or have been working on wasn't certainly doing its job this morning. Does that mean what we have done isn't working?
obviously.
well, no,
No.
here's the thing. There's more up there than just, there's temperature, humidity, rainfall, the amount of cover, the amount of ash we're putting on. There's a gamut of things going on. So every one of those things change things. So when we're looking for a solution, you do X, Y, and Z, well, that's better. He said, well, it's not good enough. Okay, it's not perfect, or we wouldn't be having this conversation. However, what would it smell like if we didn't do anything at all? I guarantee it'd be worse than that. So, we are doing things, and we all have to report, we all, belongs to us, the DEP. And when they get complaints, first thing they do is they call this guy, what are you doing? Well, our engineers say, we'll run a bunch of pipes, okay, we did that. Add a bunch of ash, we did that. Put some candy canes with charcoal and barrels, we're doing that. What is your effect? What are your meters saying? Are we going in the right direction, or was that a fool's errand doing that? Again, we have to have cause and effect. We can't say that it's
So how
doing.
long is this town gonna have to suffer?
I wish we could find a tactic that mitigated it
I think
right
I
now.
know. Can I speak? I have my hand up for a minute. I'm not gonna be rude to nobody.
No, we're not.
He used to work at the treatment plant, and he came up with a solution already that nobody's even recognizing. You just said 10 solutions, but you missed the one that he said. Why not use lime? Why can't we use lime? If it worked back in the old days, 40 years ago, when that one doesn't stink, we've already determined that tonight. Why can't we use it now? Why are we not using it now?
Because the companies that own Brewer, for an example, which I know for a fact, because I work for Brewer, they don't wanna spend the money to put lime in, and they don't have to, so we take it.
Well, no, but why can't we, instead of spending $18,000 on ash?
But isn't our brewer sludge treated?
No.
Brewer has a product in it,
Right.
takes care of it.
But not a lime, he already said that.
Nope,
Right,
doesn't have one.
it is not mine.
It's
Right.
called, potassium
Down
permanganate.
there and seeing it, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, instead of spending $18,000 on ash, why not spend it on lime? I'm just saying,
This,
Well, we have,
it's a solution that nobody up there said, so I'm just adding that solution
Thank
in
you for
there.
the solution, yeah, thank you.
my observation, and I agree with you, Tim. I live in it. I'm
Yes, you
smelling
do.
it almost daily. Jeannie's smelling it daily. And what's odd is, sometimes I'll leave Jeannie's house and I don't smell it once I get to mine. It's a strange directional thing, but that doesn't make it better to have it.
Yeah, 'cause I
So-
very, very rarely smell it at my house. Like almost never.
Good, cause it's, but, and I think the lime is a treatment for sludge. What I think is going on is, we discussed, and I don't know how to do it, and I can't do any of this unilaterally without the board support and without coming to some sort of a major decision here. But it seems like it's pockets of gas that is, as I've said, this is, pockets of gas underground that are escaping, or they're traveling. I don't think they're just lingering around the top. I think there's pockets of them that are coming out of the ground at times. Or maybe there's a pathway for them to flow out. But this is from all the science that I've studied and all the things that I've learned about this. When organics decompose underground with a lack of oxygen, they give off this gas. And that's what's happening. This isn't like you lay something out and it will be decomposing at the ground level. This is decomposing underground with no oxygen. And the gas is being created in that pocket can sit there until it gets vented out, and that's when it smells. But my fear is that it's gonna get only worse, and it's going to be in a much larger capacity, so it's gonna affect a much larger area. Or it's gonna affect the same area, but in a way where nobody will be able to breathe in that area. When you called me, I had just came from walking my dog, and it literally knocked me, it took my breath away when I went
I
outside.
can only imagine, because I drove through it and it was horrible, with the windows up in the car.
Driving here tonight, I smelled it,
Mhm.
going past the annex driveway, past the memorial, and then when I came down to Main Street, it was gone. So I'm living in it, I'm watching it, I'm extremely concerned. But I can't do anything unilaterally. I'm just watching it and I'm seeing what we do. We have to give the town manager until we decide this isn't working. Now we need to reverse everything and backpedal.
Wait
And I
10
don't,
weeks, it's for your
I,
office.
you're absolutely right, but I don't know,
We're up, you done?
well, I think I'm done, I don't wanna keep it, I don't wanna repeat myself, but it is serious, it's real serious, and it's gonna affect an awful lot of people here shortly. For a long, long time, cause this gas doesn't just go away when we cover the mountain, it continues to fart for the next 50 years.
We're also in a special position too, the speed in which we're filling this landfill is not what it was in the past. Am I saying that correctly? So,
That was a great choice for our town, wasn't it?
well, what we are trying to do, just as an FYI,
And yes, I did vote.
Right.
I voted against it, just so you know.
okay. So as I was saying, that at the rate that we are filling it, and I'm not saying we want to smell it for half the duration that we thought we were going to before. However, we are doing our best to make this not as long-term a proposition as we once thought it was going to be. However, it comes at a little bit of a cost. And we're getting educated on, if you fill it to this speed, what are some of the things you're gonna have to do? And the piping, redirecting the venting, we may end up with a combustion issue as far as, let's take it over and burn it versus put on charcoal, ash and stuff like that. But we gotta try this first. As we go further along, obviously, the dome will shrink and we may obviously get to a point where it's not as much of a problem. But we haven't got there yet. We don't have an answer.
We're gonna continue to put this on the forum, right, so we can talk about it at every meeting, the agenda. I'd like that, if you know.
Regular updates would be good.
Well, chances so we can speak too. Cause we can't speak if it's not on that piece of paper.
That is correct.
So can we make sure that gets put on for every meeting? So we have a right to speak.
I don't have an issue with it.
We could, I think regular updates on the landfill, would be a good idea. And we'll also be discussing the procedure.
Okay. So, George has been patient.
Yes, George Boone, 33 Mill Street. You create your own problem. I listen to everybody. And I was gonna put a screw press in. What a screw press does is it takes all the liquid out of the solids, makes it drier. Brewer apparently doesn't do that. They're adding a chemical to it. We use Lewiston for an example. They run this through a methane digester, zero stink. Sanford through a screw press. You put these dry ones with wet ones, and then with your grinding material to process your cover, you create your own gas buckets. You need to put a methane digester in, and they have a candle, Fuds has one, Fogler's has one, that regulates itself on the amount of gas it has to burn off. When it's light gas, it's a light flame. When it's medium gas, it's like a blue flame, like a torch. When it's real heavy gas, it's like if you started a acetylene torch with no oxygen. Wicked orange and black smoke. So there's ways that you can this can work for everybody. Because if we live to be 80, we're still gonna have to take care of the gas, the upkeep. It says, if you stop to putting it in there tomorrow, you're not gonna stop creating gas. It's,
Correct.
you gotta do the things now that are gonna work 20 years from now.
That's right.
That's just true education. Okay. There's all kinds of government grants out there, Department of Agriculture, that's where they get the loans for that, that's where Flood's got the loans for the methane digesters. If, it can be done, it's all part of greener Maine. Now, everybody that I've talked to, I got attacked, well, my parking lot by Vicky household because it's done. It ain't my problem, I just know how to fix that. But, anyway, it's, if you're on the lake committee, it's all part of it. It's just all part of greener Maine. And it's ensuring that your meadow can stay a meadow. the Sebastopol can stay at Sebastopol, or we can have no lily pads in the pond. It all has to work together. There's ways that you can fix that, and can still bring it in, and we can treat our own, and it'll work. But it's a lifelong process, and we didn't start that. 40 years ago, Mark was 15 and in high school. We didn't start that. You know, but it's left here for us to deal with. And with Tim and Tom's key words, with their comments and with your comments, there's ways you can do it, but you gotta maybe step out of the way from the DEP guys that you got working there now. Maybe they're got tunnel vision with this project. I don't know, you know, maybe they've been on that project so long that maybe they need to change.
Chris, can you make sure the minutes reflect that there were two solutions I've heard? One was from one of the key spurts that said
Tom.
Tom. And then the other one is the methane digester.
Well, would it, George, would you think this is a fair statement? The volume that they're working with versus the volume that we're gonna have?
If you put a screw press in down there, you can produce electricity, you don't even need a methane digester. Put a collapsible roof on them two ponds, and when they're full, it's full of methane. When they're flat, there ain't none.
We're a little bit oversized down there. Again, we've got a couple of deficiencies in your plan. One of them is that system is set up for it, and you're gonna put out way more gas than we're going to. That would be great if we could just say, put a torch to it and let it go.
You can with a candle. You can put one of those candles in that regulates itself. This morning, the flame weren't no bigger than my fist. When I left at 3 o'clock this afternoon, it was 30 feet tall. Just through day-to-day operations, when it needs to burn off a lot, it doesn't. When it doesn't, it slows itself down. It goes on volume.
And
I mean, it's state of the art. It's been all over the news, and it's open to the public. You all can drive right down there and look at it. It's astronomical.
Right.
and you can get us a name?
Tim Sands, Mark's got a scout.
Sounds like they did it right from the beginning, though.
Yeah, they did the design, I guess that's
They
kind of
did
where
the
I'm.
design. Maybe TRC should be held.
They didn't really do the design, they just reached out to different contractors on how would this work, have you ever built this part of it before?
Has it ever come up before
Somebody,
with this TRC with you,
What's that?
this solution?
The flares, yeah, that's what we're gonna do next.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna try next.
It'll work, it'll work, I'm telling you.
It will work if there's enough methane to burn. There's not proof enough yet that there's enough methane. So that's the issue that we gotta ascertain the methane somehow.
So ask him about that one he's talking about there that regulates it.
Yeah,
But again, you have to have enough volume. This was designed to do this. There's a difference if you've got a machine, okay, we got a machine to do X, Y, and Z now. Who's got enough cow poop to keep this thing going? Well, you can start bringing it from every, of this, I'm generalities here.
and
Okay.
I'll explain to you. They drilled into the landfill in Augusta and put a pipeline down 201. Same people.
Mhm.
There's a digester, there's only 4 in the state. There's a digester in Lewiston, digester in Augusta, 1 in Exeter, and 2 at Floods. And the 2 at Floods were the first ones ever to guinea pig just found animal waste. And they're gonna put 7 more in the United States. Just for that.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't have to take on animal waste, don't get me wrong. Human waste is the most methane going. Then it's restaurant waste, then animal waste. So we're already dealing with the strongest stuff possible.
Okay,
So I mean,
we'll get,
it just, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you just, it's worth a look into.
no, I'm not saying we're not gonna look into it. I'm just saying, I'm not saying the applications are the same, that's all. But we can certainly look into that.
Lewiston put one in for Stinky Grove.
it's just manure. Just manure.
They're doing animal waste.
Animal.
Animal,
Yeah.
that's it.
Freestyle waste, no.
Right. Right, no wood,
No.
no.
So, if it works for Lewiston, it'll work for Heartland. If a screw press works for Sanford, it'll work for Heartland. It's it's just gonna be put in and put in right.
A screw press at the landfill or at the treatment plant?
I would do it down there if you're gonna take your own waste up there.
What about everybody else's?
You could put
bringing
a screw
their
press
waste?
in there and a methane digester, and we'd all be millionaires, and have everybody's truck go right through it. Instead of them dumping it and then having them cover it, have them go right through that.
Right there,
Yeah,
trying at the landfill.
you, one digester will do 200,000 gallons a day. And one digester holds 2 million
200,000
gallons,
gallons,
200,000 gallons.
liquid.
Of the stuff you see spreading on the fields, that's what he's talking
Oh,
about.
okay.
Comes in
Yeah.
semi-liquid form.
And
Yeah,
what-
I dump truckloads, solid, half a barrel manure right in it,
Does it
20
fuel,
yards of wet.
does it fuel itself? Do they use the methane to fuel
Oh,
that
yes.
digester?
Yes, they have 2 turbines. If one don't start, the other one does, and they can shut one down when one's being serviced. It was, when they built it, they had to have electricity there, and Chimbrow put the electricity, the poles in and all of that. But that's since been, it's still there, but it's shut off, and they're running on their own natural gas, powering the plant. So I mean,
Have you ever heard any talk of a price?
how much they got invested
Do
in
you know
it?
what the, yeah,
35 million.
okay.
But a lot of that is, they tried different things and it didn't work and they had to redo it. It had to cost them more. It was 31 million at the beginning. But when Floods was gonna do it themselves, 15 years ago, they were gonna produce electricity. And Chris was a selectman when we had the meeting on rebuilding this down there, and I brought that up and kinda got laughed at, but that's all right. You can do it free. Free, no charge. It's gotta be under the Green Main Act. And that's just, it's it. You got the Sebastopol, you got Morro Pond, you got Moose Pond. Floods is on Jackson Brook and the Kennebec. It doesn't matter whether you're Lewiston and the Muskegon River. So you got all the makings of a winning situation. We're not gonna get rid of that heating in the Senate and create methane. It's just, in gas, it's just gonna be there. It's gonna be a problem long after we're all gone. So why don't we just fix it now, if it can be fixed, for our children and our grandchildren? That's just all I'm saying. And these guys seem to make it work.
You're right.
Well, we can look into it.
I mean, if you don't believe me, you just set it, Mammy's Grill and see how many tractor and trailer loads of cow manure was going through and water's going back to Taylor's a day. I made 4 trips to Taylor's today myself. That was 8 loads loaded each way. I mean, 'cause they had to add water to theirs out of their manure pond so that it worked good down there. There's ways you can just, it's astronomical, and it does work. And this is the only, like I said, it's the only one in the world that does animal waste. Angus King's done them. He did one in Lewiston, he did one in Augusta, he sold Fogler's theirs. Fogler's takes on restaurant waste too, to make enough methane so that they can produce electricity. The cow manure won't do it alone. You have to have 5,000 cows in order to either produce electricity or produce natural gas.
Here's our problem though, we are gonna fill up one day. And then,
And that gas is still gonna be there.
and the gas is still gonna be there, but is it gonna be there
Now,
enough
I was hoping that question would come up.
to keep that
Manure, and it doesn't matter whether it's human manure or cow manure,
right?
is 20% solids, 80% liquids. Once it's through this process, it's just like a pollution plant. You can dump that right into the river, it's clean. Same deal. Everything that I take a load of 185-degree water in the morning out of that methane digester to Taylor's, that's so everything's unthawed. But that's got all the nutrients in it, traps the nutrients. All of the bad stuff's taken out and treated through this cooking process with methane digester, and they're using it for bedding. And then it goes right back, it's all just a continuous cycle. That's why this is never gonna end.
They use it for what?
Bed the cow down.
So I thought you said bedding.
And it's saving millions, not thousands, millions.
So Mark's got the name?
I do, yeah, I've looked at a website they had. The thing that wasn't present was the price. But
Well,
this
see,
is a perfect time, and we're looking at solutions to go ahead and make sure we
you talked with
understand.
Angus King Jr. on that. Angus King Senior was at the meetings, but he's a senator and he legally can't
Sure,
speak on that because he's in the legislature right now.
sure.
But his son Angus King Jr. is the one running them in Maine. Fogler's bought theirs right outright. Floods just teamed up with him and leased him the land and the buildings that Floods had because they weren't gonna put one in now, they let him put it in. But he's using the buildings that they already had in the renewal ponds, for $7,000 for 25 years. It's a little over $2 million. It ain't chump change, but he's 77 years old, he figured he didn't wanna roll and blind.
We're probably a few years, we're probably, I mean, it's probably not, it's probably a few years to get this project even to going, if we,
Tim Sands was the one that told me this is a potential site that they're looking at because you have a pollution plant in the landfill. He wants to drill into that baby because he knows where it is.
is that the card you've got, Tim Sands?
That is the card I got.
That's the project manager. He's the one that drilled into had them drill into the Augusta landfill.
Well, let's talk to him. I mean,
Got nothing to lose, right?
I think we need to talk to a lot of people, because to continue, you know, the old saying, if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging, right?
Well, I don't want my friends to smell human manure at their house, no more than I want to smell it at mine. The river must act just right, cause it doesn't really bother my wife and I, but we was going out past the fire hall the other night, and boy, right there, it was bad.
Yep.
Just a couple places past the fire hall, but then we got down to the corner and you didn't smell it again, so I think you're right, John, I think it's just the way the air is flowing at the moment.
I tell you,
In that valley.
I think so
In
too.
that valley, not
It's-
always.
It's not always. I've been at Jeannie's, and I've left Jeannie's house, and by the time I get to my house, it's like, geez, I don't smell anything. And then I go get the dog and go outside, and it's now come down, and it's bad out front again. So it definitely moves around.
But you're not gonna, with this, you wouldn't fill it up, you'd never live long enough to fill themselves up. Because the compaction rate you like, it would be just,
We need to figure this out quickly.
oh,
because,
for sure.
you know,
So we'll
Yeah,
talk about
because
that, and we'll move on, cause we got Josh, and we had Karen,
Right.
and then
Thank
we're
you,
going
George.
back to the Keysprings.
Okay.
that was really good, George.
Josh
Maybe
was
with
first.
the rain that we've had too, the rain and everything holding low, you've noticed it worse in areas than what's normal. I know that. From what I see, I mean, the rain's gotta have an impact on it with all the water that we got up there, I would assume.
Well, rain, the water itself displaces any voids. The sheer weight of the water compresses it, and the gas will come up someplace else.
And the weight of the landfill itself.
Yes.
You,
Karen?
You're right, you're 100% right, and it has no.
Karen Toll, standing for the record. Just a couple of clarifying questions on the budget related to the landfill. Chris, you said, you spent $17,990, was that on ash and piping?
Yes.
And an
The ash
additional?
piping, we had some help with labor, parts. We also, part of it was a rental machine, for an excavator for the day, for a couple days actually.
And you expect to spend another $3,000 to $6,000 just on additional ash?
Between trucking and placing it, yes, I would say that that's close, based on what we've done so far.
Is that something you're gonna have to do over and over and over again? Bring in more
Possibly.
ash? Okay.
Possibly.
And
It's
what
probably
do you
gonna be a
an-
continuous thing.
What do you anticipate the cost of the flare solution to be?
Have no idea. Haven't even gone down that path.
Continuously, how many times a month is that?
Okay, hang on a second. She's still standing, she's still
It's
talking.
kind of a rebuttal to her question.
Oh.
Continuously, I'm just curious on what continuously meant.
Karen, please.
No, that's okay, you can, it's
Right, but we're trying to get away from this,
All right,
that, and then,
okay.
right, so let her get her thoughts out, and then we can go.
Different, agenda item, municipal
municipal elections on May 3rd, and the town meeting was May 4th.
Thank you.
Karen, they're always the first Friday and the first Saturday in May, election and town meeting.
And the reason
Always.
they're not in there, because we have to vote on it, once we do, then they'll be posted. That helps.
Thank you.
I'm gonna take vacation day.
Right over here. Now, come on now.
Tom Keysbert, Jesus Christ. Anyway, what is continuously? Once a month, twice a month, for the ash?
I wouldn't know right at the moment,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
It was just a question. Everybody's getting all pissy about nothing. It was
I'm
just a
not
question.
upset about anything.
So I got two-part question. First one is, what is downtown area? What do you guys consider in the downtown plan area? What's the area?
Yep.
Main and commercial,
Wow,
Elm.
stumped 'em. What is it?
Main commercial, Elm, some of Pittsfield Avenue.
That's the plan that's being looked at?
Well, that's the downtown,
I know what downtown is. I'm asking what
I think that's
we're
phase-
looking
I
at.
think that's phase
It's not a
one.
trick question, guys. I'm just curious on what we're looking at.
Yeah, I would think, did we define downtown? We defined downtown,
There is a
Right.
map,
For the
circulating.
downtown plan, what streets are we looking at?
commercial Main,
Okay, thank you.
Elm, some maybe.
My next thing is the topic, cause it's on this paper today and it's not gonna be again. So the public forum, I don't understand how townspeople cannot come to this meeting and ask questions without putting it on paper a month in advance to get approved by the town manager.
So
And not to mention, can I finish?
By them.
Okay. Then why am I submitting it to the town office?
I didn't, I said you write it out and submit it right here. The process calls for it to be submitted to the chairman of the board.
Okay, that answers that question, but I still don't understand why we can't ask questions, whether it's on this paper or not. I understand you don't want the debates and stuff, which can be stopped. All you need to do is say, we will answer your question next week. We don't have an answer right now, that gives you guys a chance to talk about it, or whatever it may take, and then answer our questions, but I don't see why we cannot ask a question. To me, that is ludicrous.
You can submit a question. Oh, sorry, Mark, didn't want to step on you, too.
No, I just give you a little history if you're interested in it.
I think I know the history, but yes, I'd love to hear it.
Okay. Have you been to town or selectmen meetings in other towns?
No, I don't live in another town.
Right, so I'm just trying to explain to you, we did some research, John brought this point up when, who was the chairman? I think Judy was. John wanted some
Structure?
structure to it,
Procedure.
procedure. We looked at other towns and saw what they had for guidelines. At the time, some of you might have been coming to the the selectmen meetings, and what they were becoming is a Monday night town meeting.
I understand that.
So the selectmen's meeting is for us to get a chance to discuss, because we're not legally allowed. I don't call John up during the week and say, hey, what's your thought on this? I don't call Jerry and say, hey, what are you thinking about this? So the only time for us to actually discuss, and you'll see that sometimes it's ripe with different opinions, sometimes we're all on the same sheet of music, this is where it's at. If you take the totality of the meetings, they were about 30 minutes for us and 122 hours for people to debate topics that they just don't like. Let's say if it's present tonight. If you didn't like the landfill, you are against the landfill. And it comes up time and time again. Everybody has a right to have their own opinion. The issue back then, we were fighting that every selectmen's meeting. So if you look at other towns, what they have done is they've come up with rules that say, hey, if you want a question to ask, you can find my phone number, call me. If you really want a question, talk to me. A lot of people love to use the selectmen's meeting as a way that they think all week about the one question they want to do, stump the chump, and then they say, oh, and you guys aren't even prepared to answer the questions. That's why we sat back and said, if you could tell us the question in advance, Matter of fact, just a few weeks ago, we had somebody here say, you don't even bring the right stuff to the selectmen meeting, or you don't bring your laptop, Chris, or you don't bring, well, it's our meeting. It's not a town meeting. Now, this town has been on good record to allow a lot of citizen input. If anybody's come here, when you've had your machine here, you've seen tons of it. So we're on record for allowing the citizens to give us guidance all the time, but it seems like there are just a certain few, the only time they want to give any guidance is during the meeting. They don't want to call you or talk to you and tell you to allow you to become here better prepared to answer their question. So at that point, the select board said, let's take a look at what is out there. We looked at various different towns, how they conducted their business, and this one was adopted. As you know, we haven't followed it. We've allowed people to talk ad nauseum, and you gotta admit, if you've been here, just the questions, I didn't get that, what did you say? I mean, it's not a town meeting, it's a selectmen meeting that the town can come to. Now, I don't have any problem with questions, I think it's good to have interaction, especially if they all have the best interests of the town, not just their particular carved out special partisan interest for that night. I think it's good if we have dialogue, but that issue was, rather than people saying, you're not prepared, okay, well, send in the question, we'll do due diligence and be able to answer that question for you the next meeting. That's the history behind how we got here, and we haven't been addressing it. If you were here just a few weeks ago, you know we spent
I was not, because you guys
tons
keep
of time,
changing the meetings.
tons of time trying to answer question after question after question, that if they really want to know the answer, they could have called the town office earlier in the day, or they could have called one of the selectmen. But instead, we have this ad nauseum meeting trying to answer all these individual questions that somebody has come up with no time to actually prepare to give them the right answers, the accurate answers. And that's the spirit behind the select board policy.
Okay, comment?
Sure.
Okay, so, I agree. I think it could be handled differently.
Sure.
I think it could be handled the way I said. I think it could be handled where you ask your question, and then if it's something that you cannot answer at that particular point in time, you say, I would like to table this until the next meeting, we will get you an answer.
Good.
And a discussion.
Right. I appreciate your suggestion, right? That is the
And I mean, you even got a selectman, you weren't here because you were late.
Yeah.
You had a selectman that doesn't agree with the policy.
He has every right, but he would sit here tonight and not disagree that he's the impetus behind this very
He
policy.
is.
Right.
Yeah. I disagree, one sentence, one half a sentence.
Right, which is the sentence that I brought up.
Right, and I actually missed. But that's what,
I think that part should be changed. Anyway, if you can put that in the notes, I'd appreciate it.
yeah.
But we'll certainly discuss it, but the only difference between what you just said and what we just said is you wanna stand up and ask a question. If we can't answer it or don't choose to, we'll table it until next time.
Right.
And we're saying, well, write it down and bring it up.
So, the
Now,
difference.
I'm just making an
No, I
observation,
understand.
not a
And
criticism,
the difference to me
observation.
is, it has to, so, the reason why I disagree with that is because the way it's read, or maybe I misinterpreted it, and correct me if I did, please, okay? To me, the way it's read is, it'll be approved or not approved to be brought at the meeting, okay? So in other words, if I have a question that, how do I wanna say this? If I have a question that might, for example, and Chris, I'm gonna pick on you, I'm sorry, but it's just you, that might piss Chris off, okay, for example, and you guys don't want Chris to be upset or pissed off because I have a question that pertains to him in a negative way, so you don't approve it. I don't agree with that. I think every question should be answered if it's asked. I mean, that's what we pay you guys for. Whether it's good or bad, and that's it. And I feel that I shouldn't have to put it in writing so that maybe I don't want Chris to know ahead of time that I'm gonna ask that question that's gonna upset him.
Well, that's the gotcha one.
Maybe I want to see the surprise on his face, or maybe I want, no, and I don't mean that, I'm not saying that in a negative way, but you can tell a lot by people's actions on their face, okay? I've been watching you guys all night, just like you guys are watching us. You can tell a lot by people's actions on their face, okay? And maybe I want that surprise. I don't think it should have to be in writing, I just think we should be able to ask the question. If you guys would like time to rebut, then you say, I will answer that at the next meeting. That's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the same thing, it's just different. You're getting the same respect, you're getting the same solution, it's just different. That's all.
No, thanks for your input. I think one of the things that, let's just say that Bob here didn't vote for the landfill and wants to come in and talk about the fact that he doesn't think we ought to have had a landfill, that we ought to have a landfill every Monday night. I want that ability to say, I understand your point, Bob, but I just don't want to rehash the same thing over and over again.
And say it.
We are.
That's
By
what I'm
policy.
saying, just say it.
By policy, right? So the issue is you can see why it came, meaning there were reasons like that. Now, we're always up to discussing an issue, but thanks for your input. I understand your point perfectly. I get it.
Thank you.
I didn't say I agreed with it, but I said I appreciate your
You
point.
never
It's-
do.
Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair.
So, this came highlighted on everybody's, because we knew that this would be a discussion. So we are gonna discuss it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, on this, that.
Mine ain't highlighted, so I don't know what you're talking
Oh,
about.
ours are highlighted.
Ours are highlighted.
So what's highlighted?
Yellow.
I know that. I'm not dumb people.
It's a magic marker.
What
You can
part
read
of
through.
yours,
It's
what part of yours is highlighted?
The part that you're
Okay,
discussing.
thank you.
Starts with that note.
Anticipating this very discussion.
Okay.
All right, so, are we good? Are we public? Anything else? Going, gone? We're gonna sign some warrants. Thanks for participating.
Thank you, guys. And thank you, Tim, for recording the meeting.
Tom, you're welcome.